Rachel Jordon, and welcome to another episode of College Confidential. Well, I mentioned it last week, and now it's almost here. Spring break for Georgia Tech is 3 days away, I guess. I know some of my friends at University of Georgia are already on spring break. I'm seeing all their photos from the beach and Mexico, ski resorts. It was pretty irritating, actually, when I was awake at 11 p.m. last night trying to finish some homework that I just decided not to even do after that. But spring break is always an exciting time, but professors always try to pile on the work right before or right after. I know for myself I have 4 tests the week after spring break, which normally doesn't happen. That's actually worst case scenario. But you never know. Some are nice and cancel class before, and some are pretty mean and make you show up and give you a bunch of work to do over the break. So it's kind of luck of the draw with whoever you get. But tonight we have a great show. Our first guest is going to be Caitlin Schumacher. She's an industrial design major at Georgia Tech. And our second guest is going to be Chris Massey from the Chris Massey Music Show. And we'll be right back after this commercial.
Hey, this is Johnny Van Zandt. You're watching American Hearts Radio WEBTV.
Alright, and our first guest is Caitlin Schumacher. Caitlin, you can come on up. Woo! She's a second-year industrial design major at Georgia Tech. Caitlin, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. So, I know, I actually used to be an architecture major, with you in studio, right. And when I first started, I didn't really know what industrial design was, so why don't you tell us what it is, because a lot of people confuse it with industrial engineering.
Yeah.
All the time. They're totally different, by the way. So
industrial design is kind of like, I usually explain it as small-scale architecture. So while architects would design buildings, industrial designers would design chairs or electronics or handheld devices, things like that.
Mm-hmm. And so you actually had review today for one of your projects, and you brought some pictures, so why don't you tell us about it?
So my review today was of our wooden chair design, and this is the picture of it, I guess.
Yeah.
We had to have a client, which was a partner in the class, and we took their measurements and asked what they wanted in a chair. And we built a chair for them using the woodshop tools and an 8x4 feet sheet of plywood.
So what were some of the requirements that your client wanted in their chair?
She's a very small person, so she wanted a shorter chair and with a shallower seat because chairs are often too tall for her. And it would be a working chair, so I wanted to try to design something that would be comfortable for her back. So I did have this spine thing that would curve to her back so that the back of the chair would be comfortable for long periods of time.
Nice. And the chairs, when you guys make stuff in woodshop, it's completely made out of wood, right? Mm-hmm. There are no screws or anything like that?
No screws. We weren't allowed to use glue, so it's all held together by really tight lap joints and dowels.
Very cool. So how long did it take you to get used to working in woodshop and with that kind of stuff? Because I know you guys started last year before I left, actually. Changed majors. I got out before that part. So what was that process like, learning to do that?
Well, first year CFY, the design build project was all hand tools. So we didn't really get any experience with the machines. So this project was my first real time using the electric saws and things. Mm-hmm. I would say at the beginning of the project, I was not good at them. But by the end of the project, I think I got a hang of it. There's still a lot more I could do, even past this. I could always make it better, but I definitely feel more comfortable.
Yeah, and that's the thing I remember about being in studio is the only thing that really determines that you're done is the time constraint.
Yeah. There's always more to do.
You're never really done, but you have to be tonight at midnight, so you kind of just have to cut it off to where it is. And that being said, we said review, and you guys have reviews instead of tests. So why don't you explain to us a little bit about the review process? So
the review is we all kind of pile together in the atrium of the College of Architecture, and we get real designers who are in the field to come and listen to our presentation. And at the end of the presentation, they'll tell us what we did right, what we could change, and kind of help us further our design abilities, I guess. So yeah, it's our form of tests. Instead of written tests, we just present our work. Mm-hmm.
And they can be pretty harsh sometimes.
They make people cry. That's not a joke.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, when I was doing it, and I know a lot of people think this too, it's always pretty constructive, and it's something you can carry with you to the next project for sure. So Another thing I think a lot of people don't realize is all the time you do in studio. ID and architecture. Architecture actually has the nickname of Architorture. Yeah. So,
kind of jealous of that nickname.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool, right? You guys need a cool nickname, too. Yeah. But what's your studio schedule like and the time you spend outside of studio, too?
So, studio is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 1 to 5. And the other semesters is 8 to 12. It's only 4 credit hours, which I think is unfair when we're spending 12 hours a week in there.
So to put that into perspective, a normal class meets 3 times a week, 50 minutes each, and that's 3 credit hours, and you're there for 12 hours, and you only get 4 credit hours for that. Yeah. It's pretty unfair.
When I tell people how many hours I'm taking, I'm like, but it's actually more because of studio.
It's like, but you don't understand.
Outside of class, I would say at least 4 or 5 more hours outside of class, depending on where we are in the project. At the beginning of the project, it's not so much because it's just drawing. You can do that at home. But during the construction phase, like building whatever the model is supposed to be, that definitely takes up a lot of your time.
Yeah. So you brought some more pictures of other projects and stuff you've done. Do you want to talk about some of those?
Sure. So that was my chair project.
Yeah.
The project we did first semester was a suitcase. We had to design a new suitcase, and ours was supposed to be like universal design, which means it could be used for handicapped users as well. So we added like a kickstand for a wheel that could go on the bottom side of the suitcase, so the suitcase could roll under a wheelchair. And we had actual like handicapped people from the Shepherd Center talk about our designs and like review it, and they all said it was a really cool idea and that they'd never seen a suitcase like that before.
Oh, neat.
Our final project last year was a parking kiosk, and that was hard because we actually had to build a full model of that, and this is just made out of like foam core, like poster board, like foam core. And mostly just hot glued together, but it was a big thing that you had to like try to figure out all the angles for.
Yeah, I remember when you were actually outside testing that one because you wanted me to come test it for you.
This is up by the College of Business where she is now.
But I was in class, so I couldn't go. Otherwise, I would have. I remember you told me Georgia Tech's obviously in the middle of Midtown, downtown Atlanta. Like a homeless guy came up and was like, kind of pressed all the buttons and was like, oh, that's great, and then just like walked away.
Thanks.
It wasn't really helpful, but okay.
And I have one more picture of, this is our first project ever in sophomore studio. It's a cardboard chair. It's my favorite, actually. There's a kind of cutout view of it. You can see the details. It's one 8x4 foot sheet of cardboard that we could only cut into 3 separate pieces, and it had to hold 250 pounds.
Wow.
And
I don't remember that stipulation from that one. 250 pounds?
250 pounds. Mine stood up, and I was pretty proud of it.
Nice. How many people's fell through the 250-pound weight?
2 people.
2? Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah, it's really sad when you spend so much time on a project and sometimes it just falls short, or the reviewer was just too rough with it.
At like the last second. Because a lot of these projects, especially the ones made out of cardboard, are really fragile, and the last second they just break or
they can last for 2 minutes, but if you sit on it for 1 second too long.
And I know we talked before, furniture design is actually what you're really interested in. Obviously, you brought the two chair projects, and you're getting a chance to do that this summer in California. So what are you going to be doing out there?
So it's a company called Matters of Space. It's what they describe as a interior architecture firm. So it's like custom designed furniture and other like house installments. I haven't gotten too much. I haven't like fleshed out all the details with the people over there yet, but I do have a spot over there that I'll be living in Glendale this summer, right outside of LA.
Very nice.
Work with them.
That'll be lots of fun.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. And so then, also a lot of times universities have special study abroad programs for certain majors, and they have one for architecture, and it says architecture and ID. Right, or is it only ID the one you went on?
It's architecture and ID.
And ID, And so you mainly were in Greece and Italy last summer?
Yep.
So what was some of the stuff that you guys did over there?
So our program was the Art and Architecture History program, which some of those fed into like ID electives, which was pretty cool. But it was mostly traveling. We started in Athens, Greece, and we ended in Venice, Italy. And every day would just basically be, instead of like going to class and like listening to lectures and taking tests, we were just taken around the city, and we would go to see museums and buildings and churches, and they would lecture us there, like, on site, and that was really cool.
Yeah, I bet that was really cool. Because I know, like, Europe has so much, I think, like, cooler architecture and stuff, and
it's all really old.
Yeah, because it's all old. America's not that old. So, anyways, but that's really great. So if you haven't picked up on this, ID is one of those majors where you don't have to take a lot of tests. But that doesn't mean it's not a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, tests are the worst, but I think review and things like that are definitely harder and a lot more time-consuming.
It's definitely like one of those things where you can't really study for it. You just have to keep working.
And then you're never really done until you're out of time. But anyways, thanks, Caitlin. It's been great having you on the show.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back with our second guest after this commercial.
I want to give a little shout-out to Jerry Farber's Side Door. We have an open mic, open mouth at Jerry Farber's Side Door every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. It's a $5 door fee, but you get all the chicken wings you want to eat, all the sandwiches, and some stage time. So come out to Jerry Farber's Side Door. Also, let's give a shout-out to all the other great open mics like Laughing Skull, The Basement, Improv, Bonkers, and there's many more. So have a good time on an open mic and go out and enjoy yourself.
So as we've often talked about on College Confidential before, college is a time where you get a lot of once-in-a-lifetime experiences, and I got one of those at Georgia Tech just yesterday morning. President Obama came to our school to talk about student loans and college and all that good stuff, and it all started when a student, she was an aerospace engineering student, wrote him a letter one night. She sent him an email and talking about how she's really struggling with her student loans and all that kind of stuff, and he actually responded, and I don't know really how this led to him coming to speak to our school, but he did, and it was really incredible. He came and he talked mostly about reform for student loans and how he wants to change it up a little bit about how it works now to where your interest rates on your loans can only account for 10% of your income. That way, if you graduate from college and decide you want to choose a job that pays a little bit less, like something in the public sector, social workers, things like that, you're not going to be penalized for that, and you can still pay your loans and live the life that you want to and raise a family and all those kinds of things, and you won't ever have to choose between paying your loans or paying your rent. And he said himself he was paying loans 10 years after he graduated from college when he should have been saving for his own children's college, and he was still paying off his. And another thing that he wants to do is free community college for 2 years for students, and to make that level of education the new baseline. Right now it's high school. Most Americans have a high school diploma, and he wants to change that and make it community college, because when you invest in higher education, you're also investing in America and our prosperity as a nation. And that was really cool to hear as a student, and it kind of gives you I guess a little bit of motivation to try really hard in school and attain that higher level education for yourself. And he also talked about this new thing called the Student Bill of Rights, which talks about how every student deserves the same right to a quality education. It doesn't matter who you are, where you came from, anything like that. Every student, regardless of any of those things, has the same rights. And if you want to support that and you want, you can actually go to whitehouse.gov and sign a petition for the Student Bill of Rights. And so yeah, that was a really great experience. It was a really, really long day because, you know, we sort of have to form to his schedule, obviously. So I know I stood in line with my roommate for about 2.5 hours to get into the building. We waited probably another 3 hours for him to finally speak, and he spoke for around 30 or 40 minutes, but it was definitely worth it, something I'll never forget, and I'm so glad I had that opportunity while I was in college. So we're going to take another quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with our second guest.
Are you looking for a great night out? Are you in the Atlanta, Georgia area? Are you looking to check out some live, awesome music during the week? They have keynote, poker tournaments, horseshoes, and special events. It's all at the Moon Shadow Tavern. That's at 3976 Lawrenceville Highway in Tucker, Georgia. That's the Moon Shadow Tavern. Give them a call, 770-674-2133. Check out their selection of great food, friendly service. Visit their website at msttucker.com. That's www.msttucker.com. Moon Shadow Tavern is a proud sponsor of the Chris Massey WEBTV music show. show on www.americanheartsradio.com. Make sure you told them that American Hearts Radio sent you. Visit their website, check out their great selection of food, appetizers, wings, burgers, sandwiches and wraps, steaks and chicken, salads and sides. Also their drink specials. Live music during the week. Check them out. Give them a call, 770-674-2133.
All right, our next guest is Chris Massey from the Chris Massey Music Show that also airs right here on American Hearts Radio Network. So, Chris, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
Good. Good.
Good. I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah? How are things going with your own show
I think I'll
lately?
get your first guest to maybe design me a recliner for my house.
From your house?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. You got to see President Obama.
I did.
That had to be really really exciting.
It was. I was actually stood on the floor. I was about 20 feet from the podium. I had to stand up for about 3 hours, but it was worth it. I don't know if I'd do it again, but I would do it over again.
I got
so,
you. Well, yeah.
That kind of thing. My feet really hurt after that.
That says a lot. So.
Yeah. So, you just had a really big show a couple weeks ago with Mo from Mother's Finest.
That's right.
That was really awesome.
We had Mo from Mother's Finest, one of the biggest rock bands of the 1970s, played with bands like Aerosmith and AC/DC, and had him here, and that was somebody that I used to go see in concert.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, so that was a big thrill to have him.
And then you were interviewing him on your own show. That's kind of crazy.
That's kind of weird. He was such a nice guy. Nice guy, you know.
He was. So, do you have any other guests lined up for the show these next couple of months?
In April, we're going to have. I'm going to have Glenn Phillips, who Glenn Phillips played with the Hampton Grease Band back in the early '70s, and Bruce Hampton of the Hampton Grease Band. He was actually in the movie Sling Blade.
Oh, really?
He was Mort in the movie Sling Blade, and he had a band in the '70s, and they were really popular. They opened up shows for Jimi Hendrix and Chicago Transit Authority and Humble Pie, bands that were really big back in the hippie days. And so he's going to have some good stuff to tell, and he's just a phenomenal guitarist. I mean, he's like influenced anybody that came up playing guitar in that era knows about Glenn Phillips. So
awesome. And so with the Chris Massey Band, you're doing some stuff too, and you got a new album coming out.
Yeah,
all that good stuff.
Yeah, we got a new album. It'll be out May the 2nd, and we're having a CD release party at the Moonshadow Tavern with the Downtown Executives. They're going to be playing there, and took this summer off. I'm not touring. You know, last year we went to California, did the West Coast, and the year before that we went up to New York City and played. So this year we're going to get the record done, and I'm going to kind of stay home a little bit, and next summer though we plan on hitting the road again.
Awesome. So since we are here on College Confidential, I know you played a few fraternity party back in your day with the Mistakes, and some at Georgia Tech too. Yes,
I did not attend college, but I performed at a lot of colleges. I am in the early 80s, I was in a punk rock band called The Mistakes, and the 688 Club, the world-renowned 688 Club, was right there at Spring and 3rd Street, right literally on the Georgia Tech campus. And a lot of students used to come there, and they looked for bands to play fraternity parties.
Yeah.
And the one fraternity party that we played, I can't remember who it is. I know where the house is because I see it when I'm on the campus.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, they had this thing called stair rolling, where they had the freshmen get up at the top of the stairs, and the stairs went down this way and then cut this way, and then they had a small baby swimming pool full of beer at the bottom, and they would roll up in a ball and roll down these stairs and land into the pool, and everybody would pour beer on their head, and they could have been paralyzed for life.
Well,
it was really fascinating. We just kind of sat there, and we had already loaded the equipment out, and we were just kind of watching. And also had a Georgia Tech student throw a pitcher of beer on me because we didn't know any Grateful Dead songs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
we're always a good crowd.
But and I will tell you that back in the 80s, we played at Tech, we played at Georgia, we played at Auburn, we played at Emory, we played at Georgia State, and Georgia Tech was as wild as anybody.
Really?
Yes, they were. They could hold their own.
People think we can't party with the best of them, but
that was not my experience at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is a
so we don't get to play too many fraternity parties. I mean, when we were playing in Jacksonville, Alabama, at Jacksonville State at this bar called Pelham's, there was this 20-year-old kid there, and he came up to me and he asked me if we wanted to play a fraternity party. And I said, sure, we'd love to. And Dave, my bass player, was standing there with me. And you know, we're all in our 50s in the Chris Massey band. And he goes on and on and on about how good-looking the girls are at this fraternity party. And Dave, my bass player, goes, well, are any of their mothers going to be there? Because that's all that's going to matter to us. I mean, you know. So.
Yeah.
But he was funny, you know, telling us, oh, the women, you just wouldn't believe it. And I'm like, you know, I got kids that age or older, you know. So anyway, but
yeah.
But we ended up not getting the gig. They ended up getting a DJ and a rap band.
Well, you know, DJs are kind of what people go with now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we play for pretty much older crowd.
Yeah.
You know, so you know.
So you brought your guitar. You're gonna play a song for us?
I did. You know, the new record's got 12 new songs on it that I wrote, and usually I get in a funk when I'm working on a new record and I can't really write anything, but it's starting to wind down now. Mm-hmm. We're in the last stages, just doing some vocals and some production work, and so I kind of got the itch and I started writing again, and I've written about 4 or 5 songs that would have probably made this record if I would have had them.
Yeah.
So that means that there will more than likely be another record.
Okay.
And the song I'm going to do tonight is a song called "In a Town Like This," and it's kind of a social conscious song about how the misfits in the world, they don't fit into white bread America's fantasy of the way America ought to be.
Right.
So
okay.
Anyway, okay, all right.
It's all yours.
Okay. Divorced and got 3 kids. She's making it on her own. She works down at the Gold Club to make her house a home. Now people whisper when they see her walking down the street. The life she leads, it doesn't fit in a town like this. In a town like this, people pretend. Well, they go to church on Sunday and act like they never sin, and everything that is lost comes with no regret. Secrets told are never kept in a town like this. Now Harry likes to drink more than he likes to work. He lives under the Tucker Bridge. He sleeps in the dirt. Now they all claim not to know his name, but they all know who he is. Charity they can't afford in a town like this. In a town like this, people complain. Never mind the reason, there's no need for change, and freedom is to believe what they all insist. There's no street called in between in a town like this. Now Lori and Nicole, they're as happy as they can be. They love and care for each other, anyone can see. But people tend to believe what they think is wrong. The love the two of them share in this town, it don't belong. In a town like this, they can't conceive. They think it is the way it should always be. And if you tend to disagree, there's no seat to sit, and there's no standing room in a town like this.
that one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you're just saying it.
No, I mean it. All right, so we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Massey from The Chris Massey Show. You know, one of my favorite places to hang out, eat, and play music is the Moonshadow Tavern in Tucker, Georgia. Moonshadow Tavern, they got great food, great drink, and great live music 5 nights a week. Right now at the Moonshadow Saloon, you can go and get 5 appetizers for $5 each. That's right, 5 appetizers for $25. So just go down there and get them. Hell, those appetizers, man, that's a whole meal in itself.
Alright, so thank you for tuning in for this episode of College Confidential, and we'll be back on April 8th, and we'll hope that you'll be watching. So thanks again. See you next time.